Hi there, this is Dave DeBow, publisher of Canadian Profits, here with this week's episode of Canadian Profits TV. Now you'll notice that the background's a little different. I'm actually doing this from my messy office. I wanted to get you a quick video out here. I'm actually pre-recording this. You're going to be watching this hopefully on Tuesday, November the 13th, right after the Remembrance Day long weekend. I hope you had a great weekend and you were little cognizant of Remembrance Day. It's 65 years since World War II ended, but it still has such a huge impact on all of us. We have to remember that. We have to honor and praise our veterans. I send a heartfelt message of appreciation to everybody who served for Canada and any of our excursions, any of the wars, any of the peacekeeping efforts that we've done. Much appreciated, and thank you for all that you've done. I'm pre-recording this actually on Thursday before the long weekend because I'm heading out today to Vancouver. I'm going to be attending an event called Magnetize Your Audience, I believe is what it's called. Anyhow, it's all about putting on seminars and events, which is a big part of my business. So always sharpening the axe, as they say. So hope you had a great weekend. And what do we got for you this week? So Mindset Minute, I want to teach you about a kind of a neat, not just a sales idea, but a way of dealing with people and selling yourself idea that I learned from Lisa Sasevich recently. I went down to one of her events in San Diego about a month ago. For our Real Estate Minute, I want to share a rent-to-own success story with you. And for our Business Minute, I want to talk a little bit about all the controversy that's going around Robert Kiyosaki and his bankruptcy. So stay tuned. All right, so for our Mindset Minute today, I want to talk about a concept that I've just learned recently from Lisa Sasevich, the queen of sales conversion. So again, Lisa's background is in sales, but she really focuses on what she calls heart-centered entrepreneurs. So she helps really non-salesy people feel much more comfortable about selling their products, services, and what have you. So one of her main mindset shifts is about the whole sales process. A lot of us, I know myself in particular, the thought of selling one-on-one makes us quite nervous. I remember when I had the doorknob ads business, when I first started working with Darren Weeks way back in 2004, I believe it was. The idea of going out and cold call selling those doorknob ads made me sick to my stomach. I hated it. I did a bit of it. I sucked at it. Didn't like it at all. And I had that in my mind about sales. I enjoy marketing because that attracts people to me, but the actual one-on-one sales, not so much. However, Lisa's take on it is very, very interesting. And she says what we should really be focusing on is in our presentations or what have you, that we're really trying to get our message across, show everything in the best light and a real light, show everything that we can offer for our prospect or a customer or with even our spouse or a partner in a relationship, trying to get our point of view across. And then what we have to do is we have to be committed to that, but not attached to the outcome. So that's the key. Committed, but not attached. We're committed to helping the other person make a decision. That decision can be yes, which is great, or it can be no, which is okay as well, as long as they're making a decision. Maybe is not a decision. Maybe sucks. So it's being committed, but not attached. If they make the decision yes, that's great. You don't get overly excited about that, but that's fantastic. If they say no, that's okay too. At least we've helped them to make that decision. So when you're looking at yourself for trying to communicate something to somebody else, you're trying to get somebody to come along to your point of view, you're trying to sell something if you're in business for yourself or you're in sales, look at it from that, maybe try and take a look at it from that point of view, of being committed to helping the other person make a decision, but you're not attached to the outcome. So that's your Mindset Minute for this week. Okay, and for today's real estate tip, I just want to share with you an interesting little email that I received from David Mayrand. Excuse me if I'm mispronouncing your name, David, from Quebec City, actually. And David was on one of my recent webinars that we put on last week, No Money Down, Rent to Own Secrets Revealed. And he says, your presentation yesterday was excellent. We do lease options to purchase in Quebec. I set up a lease purchase program with a team of mortgage broker, real estate broker, building inspectors, appraisers, notaries, etc. And since June, we have established more than 10 lease with option to purchase. You're right, this is a very interesting solution for our clients and tenants and for our investors. And he goes on to say, thank you for your precious videos. Well, David, thank you very much for the note. I really appreciate that. And what I want to point out here is it's really interesting. When I went to Eastern Canada this summer, especially when I was going to Quebec, I got some pushback from folks in Quebec saying, hey, you know, there you are, Dave. You're coming in from Kamloops, coming in from English Canada. You're coming in from British Columbia, heaven forbid. And you're going to be telling us here in Quebec how to do this. Rent-to-own doesn't work in Quebec. Rent-to-own cannot work in Quebec. And poppycock is the answer to that. Here is proof. David and his partner, I think it's Jacques, are in business in Quebec City. Doesn't get any more French-Canadian than that. And they've done 10 rent-to-own deals. They've got them up and established in about 4 or 5 months. That's absolutely outstanding. David, you're kicking my butt. You've done way more deals than I've ever done in that short of a period of time. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And again, the real estate tip is don't automatically assume that you can't do something in your area just because not that many other people are doing it. Take a look around, see how you can make it work for you, and make it work. That applies to rent-to-own. That applies to all sorts of other creative real estate methods as well. So nice little note there from David. Appreciate it. And that's your real estate tip for this week. Okay, and for this week's business breakthroughs, well, the mindset thing was a little bit like that, you know, attached, committed but not attached. The business breakthrough I want to talk to you about this week is about the recent controversy and all the kerfuffle that's going on about Rich Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, and the bankruptcy one of his corporations is going through right now. So, you know, since I've started talking about the recent Fast Track Super Conference and what a great time I had and how awesome it was to have Robert Kiyosaki there for 2 solid days doing just amazing hands-on training, the kind of stuff that I have paid $5,000 to attend in Phoenix before. It was an awesome event. It was absolutely fantastic. So I've been emailing and doing video tips and stuff like that about this. And right now, if you haven't paid attention, you haven't noticed, there's a lot of stuff online and in the news about Rich Dad going broke or Rich Dad going bankrupt. So I just want to kind of share my point of view about that. So it turns out that Kiyosaki and his corporation were sued by one of his old business associates over some dealings years ago. Who knows who's right, who's wrong. Long and the short of it, though, is Robert got sued, his company got sued, and they lost. And it was a $26 million judgment. Ouch. That's got to hurt, even if you're Rich Dad. So what they've chosen to do is the particular company that was getting sued, they've decided to allow that company to go into bankruptcy. And it had $2 or $3 million worth of assets in it. So what does that mean? Long story short, the guy that's suing them for $26 million is going to get $2 or $3 million by the time the smoke clears, and one of Kiyosaki's companies is going to be bankrupt. That's my understanding. Again, this is not from the horse's mouth. This is just my understanding of how things work. So there's all this, controversy about, here's this guy teaching about, creating wealth and how to become wealthy and wealthy mindset and all that sort of stuff. And one of his companies is going bankrupt. Isn't that incongruent? Isn't that inconsistent? And my answer is no, it's not. It's actually very consistent. If you've read any of Kiyosaki's works, especially Beyond Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, a few other books like that, he talks about the rich being very, very smart about protecting their assets. And that's exactly what he's done in this case. He has far more than just one corporation. In fact, one of the news articles talks about he has at least 10 different corporations. So what he's doing is he's allowing this one corporation to go bankrupt, to take the hit, in order to protect the rest of his holdings, the rest of his businesses, which are all held in different corporations and trusts. So like he says in one of his books, the rich own nothing but control everything. And that is a way, especially in the United States, for them to protect themselves against lawsuits, litigation, all sorts of people coming after them for their money. So in my opinion, what he's doing makes perfectly good sense. If I were him, I'd probably be doing exactly the same thing. I'm not nearly as smart as he is or at anywhere near that level, but it's a very, very smart, in my opinion, business decision that he's doing. Is it a fun thing for the media to run with? Of course it is. Rich dad goes bankrupt. But it's not the whole story. It's him allowing one of his corporations to go bankrupt. And in case you haven't noticed, a lot of rich guys have done that. Trump has done that. Canadian millionaires and billionaires have done that lots. So it is a business strategy, especially in today's very litigious environment, which is coming over here to Canada as well. So that is your business breakthrough for this week. And I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of Canadian Profits TV. All right, thanks again for tuning in to this week's episode of Canadian Profits TV. What's going on? Well, we've got the replay of my recent online event, No Money Down, Rent to Own Secrets Revealed. That is available at rent2owncashsystem.com. You can watch that replay for a limited time. You can scroll down to the bottom of the page and read some of the I think we had over 50 or 55 testimonials about the replay, so you can read some of those about what people thought about it. And then if you're interested in rent to own and doing it with no money down, definitely watch that replay. We're going to be taking that down in the next 10 days or so. Also, speaking of Robert Kiyosaki and the 2012 Super Conference, How to Develop Your Unfair Advantage, if you were not one of the lucky 500 and some people who were at the event live, we can offer you the next best thing. And we've got the live recordings of the whole 3-day event, which we're going to be making available for a limited time. You can order your very own copy of the entire recordings of the event, including the 2 days with Robert Kiyosaki doing all of that phenomenal training for us. And you can check that out at superconferencerecordings.com, or click on the link below this video as well, or there might be a little tab on the side or something like that. So check that out if you're interested in getting a hold of the next best thing to being there live at a very, very, very reasonable special offer price. We're putting this together. We're going to be ordering all of the recordings at one time, so we're going to be cutting this off in the next couple of weeks. So don't delay. Make sure you get yours right away. So check it out at that website, superconferencerecordings.com. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.